Hello, everyone, and welcome to 6 Minutes of Wisdom. Ross Johnson, Randy Story, and myself, Cynthia Shane, are all joined today in sunny Florida. However, Ross and I did bring a little chilly weather with us. It's a high of 70 today? Still a beautiful day.
Yeah, we had frost today. It got down to 32.
If it gets up to 70, I don't think you can call it chilly, especially in January.
We're used to negative temperatures right now with the wind chill. But we thought we'd take a moment and chat a little bit about Treasury I bonds. I don't know if anybody's read anything of late, maybe in the Wall Street Journal, taking a look at a little something different. Not that we're recommending anything, we're not soliciting, we're just going to talk about the facts.
Yeah, there was a couple articles in the Wall Street Journal over the last few months, as well as I know I had an in-depth conversation with a client that was just inquiring about them, and as Cynthia kind of hit on, we're not soliciting or recommending because we can't. There's only one place to get them, and that's through the Treasury directly. But it's just some questions have come up recently with high inflation, hedges against inflation, and the I bonds could be an opportunity to do that, right?
Yeah, and of course we've seen some market volatility, so people are always looking for other options out there that are paying attractive interest rates. And so this is something that I think one of the articles said is hiding in plain sight. A lot of people don't really know that they're out there or that they exist. You probably remember as a kid your elderly aunt buying you a Series EE savings bond.
Oh, yeah.
Well, these are savings bonds as well. Yeah. They're treasuries. You buy them online, and maybe you want to give a little bit of a breakdown on how the bonds work.
So you can go to treasury.gov and you just purchase an I bond for yourself. They have a 30-year maturity.
All right. Sorry. The interest rates are...
Well, the interest rates are broken down into two pieces, really. There's a fixed piece, and then there's an inflation piece. And the both of them, I believe, are adjusted every 6 months.
Correct.
Now, right now, the fixed piece is at zero, and it's been at zero since, early 2000 or 2020. But it kind of moves around. It's hit zero a few years back, I think, in 2015. I'd have to check the notes on this, but 2015, 2016, as well as coming out of the Great Recession. But where the opportunity is right now is with interest or the inflation where it is. Everything is tied to the consumer price index, which is, I think, gets at a rate at close to 7.
Yeah, the current rate is 7.12%.
Yeah, over 7% right now. It's paid semi-annually, and they adjust that semi-annually.
Right. So the fixed rate right now is zero, which you think, okay, well, so if you buy that 30-year bond, that fixed rate's always going to be zero, but every 6 months they're going to add on the inflation rate. Whereas the folks that bought this bond back in 1998 got a guaranteed rate, a fixed rate of 3.5 or 3.4, whatever it was at that time, which stays for the life of the bond. But in addition to that, they add on the variable rate, which changes every 6 months.
So the risk is with it, unless the U.S. government defaults, you're going to get your principal money back. It's just how much does inflation change, drop back down, which again, this could be used as a hedge against inflation now. But as inflation comes down, one of the things that will probably drive that down is an increase in real interest rates, which is an increase in probably that fixed rate. So you should see that counterbalance any drop we see in inflation over, the longer term.
And taxes with regards to the interest that you receive on the bond would be deferred until at the point in time that you choose to redeem your bond.
And there's no state income tax, just federal tax.
Right. There is some holding periods, though. You can't just buy it and then sell it right away. I think you have to hold it for at least a year. And then after that, for the first 5 years, if you sell it prematurely, you actually have a 3-month interest penalty.
Right.
And then after that interest penalty goes away.
Right, and that's an important distinction, too, because people hear 30-year bond. Oh, I'm not going to buy a 30-year bond. Randy's 62. He's not going to buy a 30-year bond. That's too long. Well, no, it's not. It's a 30-year bond, but you can redeem it after 1 year with a penalty, up to 5 years. But after 5 years, you can redeem it with no interest penalty. So it's kind of a win-win. Basically what you're doing is you're buying a 30-year bond, but it's really a bond that if you're willing to hold for 5 years is going to give you some attractive returns, particularly if you think inflation is going to be going up within the next few years. And obviously we're starting to see that occur right now.
So Randy, if I can get 7% right now on this with very limited risk from a default risk, why don't I put hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash into it right now? That's what's coming to my head.
Yeah. Well,
I'm teeing it up for you, setting it up, spike it down.
Because the government doesn't allow you to buy more than $10,000 per Social Security number per year.
Additionally, we wouldn't want to put all of our eggs into one basket. We want to hedge our risk in various forms.
Yes.
Right?
Obviously. There are other alternatives out there as well. But I think the important thing is that we just want you to be aware that this instrument exists. It's not something that we can help you purchase. It's something that you're going to have to go out there and look for yourself on treasurydirect.gov. But once you get out there and take a look at it, you see all the explanation of the particular bond. It's an effective way to invest some money safely and get an attractive interest rate, at least currently.
Oh, good point. And I think as long as you're comfortable jumping through some of the hoops of Treasury Direct Online and working through that process, it can be a decent opportunity to earn a little bit more than you're getting anywhere else with such, limited default risk.
Just make sure you give somebody your user ID and password, because if you happen to pass away, they got to know where to find that bond. That's the only problem. It's got that another hanging Chad account out there. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you learned something new today. If you enjoy hearing what you're hearing on 6 Minutes of Wisdom podcast, please go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts to subscribe to 6 Minutes of Wisdom, or ask Alexa to play 6 Minutes of Wisdom podcast. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Disclosure time. This podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. It is not an offer to buy or sell, or a solicitation of an offer to buy or sell any security or investment, or to participate in any particular trading or investment strategy. The information contained is considered to be from reliable sources, but its accuracy is not guaranteed. We do not offer tax or legal advice, so please consult your tax or legal professional for information specific to your situation. The opinions expressed are those of the show's hosts and guests and are not necessarily those of Robert W. Baird and Company, Incorporated. Please note past performance is not indicative of future results, and diversification does not ensure a profit or protect against loss. All investments carry some level of risk, including loss of principal. You should carefully consider investment objectives and risks in any investment before investing. An investment cannot be made directly in an index. Securities and investment advisory services are offered by Robert W. Baird and Company, Incorporated, a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member NYSE, FINRA, and SIPC.
Some of the potential risks associated with fixed income investments include call risk, reinvestment risk, interest rate risk, credit risk, default risk, liquidity risk, and inflation risk. Additionally, it is important that an investor is familiar with the inverse relationship between a bond's price